Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, road ragers of all ages, it is I, the SKFeffect, back once again for what we are kind of dubbing the Final Rage. We'll explain more on that later. I am joined today as we cover the 5 announced matches for Impact Wrestling's Rebellion pay-per-view event coming up on Sunday, April 27th?
28th.
28th. My bad. Bloopers. This is why I have more people here with me. So, speaking of that, the voice that you heard, you know him, you love him, some of you probably don't so much. He is the Red Standard.
Hello, everyone. We are back for another prediction video for Impact Wrestling's next pay-per-view next Sunday. I am hyped, and I'm excited to discuss the latest going on in Impact Wrestling with you, SKFeffect, and their other guests.
And the other guest. Hopefully you watch him. Hopefully you watch his stream that Caesar hypes up fantastically. Itsameinvasion. Look at that. He didn't do that a year ago. I'm so proud. He's grown so much in a year.
No, I'm excited to do this prediction video. I think I have a different take on the matches and the products in general that I've had in previous videos or previously in general.
I think
being a fan of Impact.
I think all of us are going to be looking at this from different perspectives. Probably the most knowledgeable of us right now will be Red Standard because, well, he actually watches it more. Sorry, guys. 10 o'clock at Twitch. I'm normally signing off, and I'm not watching stuff, really. So, let's kick off with match number 1. The only non-title match announced so far. It is Gail Kim coming out of retirement for one night to go against Tessa Blanchard. Red Standard, you got some insight for us?
Well, before we start off, I think looking at this whole card, I think it kind of just shows Impact's one of their greatest strong suits, being that they're able to tell some of these long-term stories. Because looking at the 5 matches that they've announced so far, 4 out of the 5 pretty much have been built since January, either from the Homecoming pay-per-view or coming off of the Homecoming pay-per-view. And this one match is one of them, where at the Homecoming pay-per-view, Gail Kim was the special referee for Tessa's title defense against Taya, and we saw Gail Kim get physical in the match. And I think coming out of that, we all kind of predicted maybe they would do something with Gail and Tessa, and here we are, Gail Kim coming out of retirement to face Tessa. I think a lot of people are anticipating this match. It's been a while since we've seen Gail in the ring, so it's going to be interesting to see, whether she has any ring rust in her. I think the story has been told really well. The angle last week on Impact where Tessa invaded Robert Irvine, Gail Kim's husband's restaurant, I think was pretty well done, and I think it also showcases Tessa at her best. I think she has proven to be one of the cornerstones, not only of the women's division on Impact, but of the whole company itself. It's actually, since we're recording this, been 1 exact year since Tessa made her debut. So,
damn.
I think, yep. So
that's right. She showed up at Redemption and did and sat at the announcer table.
Yes. And for this, my prediction for this one, I think you have to go with Tessa. She's the one I think that's carrying the ball for the women's division in Impact right now, and Gail, there's not really much for her to do beyond putting over some of the younger talent in this one.
Yep. I'm going to cut in there before we get to Invasion, and I'm going to agree with Standard. Is Gail Kim winning this match would do nothing for her. She's already one of the legendary knockouts, one of the legendary women of the women's division for, wrestling as a whole. Tessa's the up-and-comer. Tessa's that young blood. I think Tessa's got to get away with the win on this one. Do I think she'll do it fairly? No, I think she might cheat a little, but I think Tessa's going to get the win. Invasion?
Yeah, I mean, Tessa is like on a whole different level in comparison to a lot of the women, I think, in women's wrestling. She's definitely part of that top tier. I am glad that Gail's coming out of retirement for this match, because I think it was kind of unfortunate that Tessa did come to the company in that kind of stage where, people were constantly talking about a Gail and Tessa match the second she showed up, and a feud and whatnot, and what a rivalry would look like. And then we had kind of the teasing of it, just all over the place throughout the year. And the fact that they're finally going to be doing that, I'm excited for it. I do agree. I think Tessa does have to get the win, because if you take Gail out of retirement for a match and she wins and then goes back into retirement, it's kind of like a lost cause in a lot of ways. And giving Tessa a win over somebody like Gail is only going to help her more and help further progress her as one of the more dominant, one of the better women of the current generation. And I think it's overall, looking at it as a match, not necessarily as outcome, I think this is going to be one of the best matches they could probably put on with who they have right now. I mean, Gail Kim has always killed it. Every time you put her in a match, every time you put her in a situation, she's always been able to deliver, and I think that's why early on they made her the first ever Knockouts champion. That's why she has the accolades she has. That's why she had so many reigns. That's why she at one point held the Knockouts tag titles and the Knockouts championship at the same time. She's had several pay-per-view matches, and then she's also had main events. You can look at matches like the one she had with Terrence Terrell at Bound for Glory. You can look throughout her whole career, and you can constantly pick out things and people that she's helped. A lot of women that would really be lost kind of in their career wouldn't be as she was a massive helping hand in their career. I mean, you look at Brooke Tessmacher, that win that she got over Gail Kim to win her Knockouts championship, her first one.
That was great. I was there live for that.
That wouldn't have been as big, I don't believe, had it not been for Gail. You know what I mean? That's not a shot at Brooke Tessmacher at all. But it's one of those things, Gail, when you put the championship on the line, or you put her in a pay-per-view match, or you put her in a main event, and she's going to deliver. So, I mean, I think this is going to help Tessa 100%, and I think it's going to be a great match. I have no doubt in either's abilities.
Invasion, you're going to make Allie's jealous. All right, so we're all in agreement. Tessa Blanchard's going to be walking out with the win. So, while we're on the topic of the women, let's talk about the Knockouts Championship. The recently turned heel Knockouts champion, Taya, will be defending against Jordynne Grace. Standard?
So this one's coming off of Jordynne Grace winning a number one contendership match. They did have a match on Impact where Taya got herself counted out intentionally, so this is going to be Jordynne's rematch. There's not much story to discuss here other than it's just a title match. With Johnny being the champion right now, whether he walks out as champion on this pay-per-view or not, I do think Tessa is still fresh as a champion. So I'm gonna.
Taya?
Yeah. What's that?
Taya is still fresh as a champion. Tessa's a former champion.
Or Taya, Taya is still fresh as champion.
Caesar can keep his woman straight.
She just also turned heel as well, so I think it kind of opens up the door for her to challenge more of the roster. I think maybe coming off of this victory with Jordynne Grace, I think maybe we can move on to Slammiversary, where we could potentially see her rivalry rekindle with Rosemary.
That'd be cool. But I don't know, I got a little bit of loyalty in this one. I got to go with Jordynne Grace getting the win on this one and becoming Knockouts champ. Big Mama Pump.
I have to go with Taya on this one, because I think, I mean, what's kind of unfortunate about this match, to be honest, is the fact that I think that Impact's doing dumb things, and they should really look in the mirror and say, wow, I did a dumb thing. And basically what I said is that I want Taya to win because I think her reign's going to be too short if she loses at the pay-per-view. And I think Jordynne shouldn't win in addition to that, because this match hasn't had any sort of proper build whatsoever. So I feel like if you give Jordynne that, hey, you're a champion in a top company, and it's kind of like lazy booking and lazily built, it kind of hurts the moment for her. It's a huge moment in her career. She's young, and to become a Knockouts champion, there's a huge line of prestige behind that championship. So then to say, hey, here you go, you're a Knockouts champion, and it's just kind of like, woohoo.
Well,
it ruins the moment for her and her career, too. So I think it's unfair to do that. And in addition, as I was saying, I just think that Impact really needs to look at this and learn from it. They did a great job building up Gail and Tessa. I said that. I know they saw that story early on, but then later on, how many times have they built up a good Knockouts championship match on pay-per-view? They've done it before. They're able to do it. And to just kind of like...
They're able to do anything if they just put their hearts and their mind to it.
Right, and it's just kind of like unfortunate that, you have the Knockouts championship and you have a really, 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 really talented champion and challenger. And the match, if it was for an Impact Weekly, like I was saying, I would be excited because, okay, you're getting the champion, a title defense, and maybe you can progress the story in multiple different ways depending how you take it. But to lazily throw it together and be like, oh, Jordan wants to be a champion and Taya is the champion, woohoo, you have 4 pay-per-views a year, and as I was saying, they really need to step it up and not softball things, especially with the championship.
All right, so we have 2 Taya, and I see your points. I do understand for it, but I'm still playing favorites. I'm still kind of hoping that Jordan Grace gets the belt on it. They screwed her out once, they can go off on it. So, let's move on to the next one. We're now moving to the X Division, with current champion Rich Swann defending against Sami Callihan. Who would like to remind everyone, it's not about weight limits. It's about insane no-limit action. Standard?
So this one is coming off of Rich Swann's title win from the Homecoming pay-per-view. Afterwards, Rich Swann has been invited to join OVE because there was a past history between the two, stemming from Rich Swann losing his home, being homeless for a while, and Sami Callihan taking in. But Rich Swann not really wanting to join OVE, is against everything that OVE is about. And after aggressively trying to bring Rich Swann into OVE, they just dumped him and brought in Madman Fulton, which, by the way, his debut is actually currently standing at 800,000 views on YouTube. It's pretty surprising. So here we have a title match between the X Division champion, Rich Swann, against Sami Callihan. I can, kind of go on about how, the X Division, what it's been like these past couple of months, years, but I think I'll let Invasion do the honors on that one.
Oh,
but
as long as I can hear him.
I think this is going to be the end of the story. We're going to see Rich Swann beat Sami Callihan. I don't really see much Sami Callihan being the X Division champion. I think maybe coming out of this pay-per-view he might move on towards maybe the world title. But I just don't think it would be good enough for Sami Callihan to be X Division champion. And even now that I even think about it, even if Rich Swann were to win this match, I look at the X Division and it's like, really, who else is there in the X Division? I mean, I know you have the Rascals, but they're mostly kind of like a 3-man unit. There's the dude Jake Chris from OVE. But, again, he's more of a unit guy. He's more of a tag team guy. And other than that, I mean, there's really not much else for Rich Swann to really defend his championship against. I mean, there's also Phoenix and Pentagon, but again, they're in a tag team. So, I don't know. This one, I do think Rich Swann's going to win, but it's going to be interesting to see, who they pair him with. Maybe against Johnny Impact, if he doesn't walk out as Impact champion. I think that could be interesting, maybe.
All right, Invasion?
I almost don't even want to talk about this match.
Oh, boy. Let me sit down for a minute. Go ahead.
No. I don't see Sami Callihan as X Division. I don't see how anybody can make that argument to me with a straight face. He's talented. I'm not saying he's not talented. That just because he doesn't adhere to what I think an X Division wrestler is does not make him not talented. I would argue that he's one of the more talented wrestlers on the roster, but this match is like, how am I supposed to care about this? Why? Like, if this was built up and it was a non-tight X Division title match, then maybe I would care about it. But when you put the X Division title in, it actually takes away from, like, whatever build that they tried to come up with for this match. Because, like, the X Division, people always, like, anytime I say something like this, then they hit me with the, oh, it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. Okay, but you gotta be, like, somewhat quick in the ring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are like, oh, well, look at Samoa Joe, he was huge. Yeah, that dude was fast. That's why he was in the X Division.
I think Sami Callihan's pretty fast. I mean, he's not, he's faster than you would think he is.
He's fast, but if you look at his style, it's not X Division based, really.
Yeah, he's hardcore.
He's more.
But I see the point you're trying to make for it.
I feel like he's more. He has a more intense moveset and a more technical moveset than what the X Division. I think there are technical wrestlers out there that could fit into the X Division, but I don't think Sami Callihan is one of them. And what scares me is I think they're going to put the belt on him.
He's the draw.
That's just the vibe that I get, because they put a lot of build into Sami Callihan, and rightfully so in a lot of cases. Where Rich Swann, you compare the two, they're on completely different levels within the company. Yeah, Rich is a champion, but marketability-wise, Sami Callihan blows them out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in Impact has a tendency, once somebody's marketable, they throw a belt on them. And it's this very cool concept that where now that they have a championship, everybody's going to care even more. And then next week, the writers all get together and they realize, oh, wait, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
Oops.
Pentagon, and then give the belt to somebody else again. So, I don't know. I'm just not at all excited for this. I'm actually more scared. And in terms of what other challenges he could have had, I mean, you could even if you throw it together, how many X Division matches have been thrown together? I mean, if you're a fan of the X Division, you're used to it by now.
Yeah.
Throw Trey Miguel at him. Throw one of the Rascals at him. Or, shit, get Hakeem Zayn out of that stupid tag team. And he's one of those technical wrestlers. No, seriously, he's one of those technical wrestlers that I see could fit the X Division, maybe not as a champion, but easily put on a great match within the X Division due to his ability to adjust to the fast and quick pace style. Where, like, Sami Callihan, you look at him in an X Division match and you easily identify that's not where his strong suit is. So why are you putting him there? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
so, you've vented. You've let it out. Breathe.
Get rid of Gama Singh. Sorry.
Breathe. Sean. Oh, wait, wrong guy.
I do want to cut in and say, like, just to add on to Brett's point, I think, this match really has been well built. I do think there's been a good story to it. But just, adding on to what Brett said, I mean, this really does not need to be an X Division Championship match, because the X Division Championship isn't really necessarily the story on this one. I mean, you can, like, say that, taking the X Division Championship would, like, ruin or Rich Swann's life or whatever. But, like, I just think that it's not really necessary for there to be an X Division Championship match for this story when it's not the focus.
So, with all that said, I'm going to ask the question. Who do you guys think is going to walk out as the winner of the match?
Rich Swann.
One Rich Swann?
I want Rich Swann to win, but I see them putting the belt on Sami.
See, I got to go with, like you said, the marketability. He's the draw. There's a chance Rich Swann's going to win, but I feel like it's probably going to go to Sami Callihan.
Yeah.
And you know what would be great impact? If you have Havoc come out and help him. I'd love it for
but
that.
I just want to add, I would just like to add really quick that people cannot keep sticking the no weight limit thing to the X Division. That is never the top, or the only, sorry, it was one of the top, the only thing that defines the X Division. People stick that to everything. Like you use that mindset, okay,
hey,
why isn't Falaba in the match?
Abyss was X Division champion before.
But there was a story to that, though. He was kind of like the intruder of the X Division, and it all built to that moment where, Brian Kendrick finally brought the title back where it belonged. Like that, there was a story to that.
We also had Mike Bennett as X Division champion.
Yeah, there was no story to that.
That didn't make any sense. So,
I missed a miracle.
yeah.
Mike, glad you're doing good. Continue up. Hopefully they do something with you soon. So, we're down to 2. Next up, it is the tag team titles in a Full Metal Mayhem tag team match, meaning these guys are going to go nuts. It is the Lucha Bros, Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. as the tag team champions versus LAX, Ortiz, and Santana. I know these two. I know these teams have been going to war for the last few months when it comes to the tag team titles.
Yeah, this one, again, coming off of the Homecoming pay-per-view, they had a match. It was awesome. It was great. And I'm expecting this one to be just as great. And LAX actually won that match. I think we all predicted the Lucha Bros were going to win that one, but we didn't really take into foresight that they were going to be in Mexico a couple of weeks later. So they ended up winning the titles in Mexico City. It was a great moment. And ever since, LAX has kind of been a little petty about it. They wanted their rematch, and they've kind of been a lot more aggressive towards that. They ripped off their masks during a match, and it's all led to this Full Metal Mayhem match. It's tables, it's ladders, it's chairs.
Hey, watch it. That's copywritten by another place. You got to toss stairs in there, too.
Exactly. Stairs and chains and kendo sticks and whatever you else want to throw in there. Even though tables are not metal, but who cares?
There's metal frames around them.
Touche. So looking at this one, I think it's too soon to take the titles off of Phoenix and Pentagon. I do predict they are going to win this one. I just think putting the titles back on LAX is just, I don't know, where do you really go from there when, you know, they had, like, the longest reign just recently, like, over a year as champion. They spent most of 2018 as champion, even most of 2017 as champion. So for the last 2 years, they've pretty much been champions. So I think it's also all depending on, like, you know, Pentagon and Phoenix contractual situations. You know, they're everywhere right now. So, you know, you never really know where they might end up, but for as long as they have them, I think it's best that they keep the titles on them. Just looking at future challengers, I mean, there's not really much they can go from there, other than like probably OVE, but I don't think you would want to do that again on pay-per-view. Just looking at, they've just recently debuted a new tag team, the North, Ethan Page and Josh Alexander. I think I saw their match, and I thought they worked really well as a team. And so on TV, I think, you know, the Lucha Bros will eventually feud with OVE, but come pay-per-view time for Slammiversary, I do see them feuding with the North, so I'm going to have to go with Penta and Phoenix on this one.
Yep. I'm there with you on that one. Like you said, LAX has spent most of their time in Impact as champions. This is probably the longest time they've gone without the belts since they joined.
But the thing is, like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the thing about that is, like, what other tag teams were there for, you know, to get the titles away from LAX? I mean, the only one was OVE, and they had a pretty lengthy reign of champions.
Yeah,
you know,
what is it? LAX lost to the awkward tag team of Eli Drake and Scott Steiner, who then lost it to DJ Z and Andrew Everett, who then lost it back to LAX.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
I forgot about that. I forgot about that one.
Impact has been a little weird with things for tag teams, and they have been, you know, off and on with who they have. But I still think, like you said, it's best to keep the belts on Lucha Bros for a little while longer while they have them. And it can let others, you know, LAX can help build up another team to be contenders and then eventually go on to challenge them. So I'm going Lucha Bros. Cero miedo.
See, this match, I hate this match for the right reason. Because, like, I like Phoenix and Pentagon a lot. I like Santana and Ortiz a lot. and it's hard to pick between them all the time. And it's like, as a fan, when you're watching and you can root for both teams and you can be happy with either result realistically, that's a good match in my eyes.
Aww.
You know, when you feel that either team is deserving or could carry the company or the division, that's a good match. That's a good decision. But I am going to go with the Lucha Bros here, I think, because, I mean, like we've pointed out, LAX have had the belt for plenty of time, and I don't think necessarily that they're going to, you know, be hurt, or, you know, their credibility or their legacy that they've built so far is going to diminish with a loss.
Right.
And I am excited for once. I think it's always been Impact for years now. They used to have a thriving tag team division and X division.
They either have awesome divisions or they have nothing going at all in them.
Exactly.
There is no
I think
center
that's
ground
the
for them.
Yeah, and I think that's been the case for the X division and the tag division for a while. But the difference between the X division and the tag division is the X division, they don't know what they're doing with. The tag division, they usually have two top-tier teams, but then the problem is they fight each other nonstop. And if they have any other teams, they're clearly not on the level or have the caliber of talent as their top two teams. That's not the case anymore because they have the North, and like they've done amazing matches like all over the place on the independent scene. So I'm very, very excited, and that's when they originally brought in Chandler Park, I was disappointed because I was hoping we were going to get him and Josh Alexander, because I felt we needed a tag team at that point as well. But as we've needed for most of the past few years, we've needed one or two more tag teams, ideally, to switch things up and rotate. But now that they're doing it now, I'm very excited because we have three of the best tag teams in the world, in my opinion, and I think they can definitely keep things fresh with those three. And then if you build up the Rascals properly, I think you could have something there as well.
Right.
Get them Gamma Sin promos in there.
All right. So
now, Impact. If anybody from Impact watches this and starts doing more Gamma Sin, no.
Quiet enough. The main event match is the champion, Johnny Impact, versus the challenger, Brian Cage. And if I could be serious for a moment, the special guest referee is Lance Storm.
Splendid.
All right, my minute is over. Standard?
All right, so this one, again, coming off of Homecoming, Johnny Impact gets the win over Brian Cage after some tomfoolery with some of those Survivor people in the crowd.
Did he just say tomfoolery?
Yes, I did.
Tomfoolery, ladies and gentlemen. We're bringing it back.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
I'm bringing it back.
Oh, God. No. All right, can we get back under control here? Okay, let's see. Johnny Impact gets the win at the Homecoming pay-per-view, which leads to this match here. Ever since that was January, and Brian Cage hasn't gotten his proper rematch for the title, proper one-on-one rematch. And we've seen Johnny go through Skill Cross, go through Moose, and one of the turning points in this feud came when Johnny Impact he finally turned heel. I don't think he was right for the top babyface spot, because I think Brian Cage has really taken that spot as the top babyface.
Yes, John,
I think he's got a lot of momentum.
Go and cut you off. Johnny's just not a face. He's good as a heel, man. You want to watch him be a bad guy. And one thing I do know for backup is I know why Lance Storm's a special guest referee for this match. It is because Johnny Impact won a tag team match recently thanks to the now dastardly John E. Bravo referee chopping the back of Brian Cage's knee, allowing Johnny Impact to pick up the win.
I don't know. I just think he's just there for like the Canadian market. He is working as a producer for the company, which I don't know whether to get excited about that or not, because I mean, how many producers have they really gone through over the years? So
Quite a few.
I mean,
Here's a question:
who knows?
Are Johnny
Who knows how
Impact or
long?
Brian Cage students of Lance Storm?
What was that?
Are either Johnny Impact or Brian Cage former students of Lance Storm?
Kaya is.
Yes, Kaya is, but
Ooh.
Brian and Johnny aren't.
That could be a fun little heel twist.
It
The
could
husband
be,
of
but
teacher's pet.
But my prediction for this one, I just think now's the time to really to give the title to Brian Cage. I think he's just got a lot of momentum going on right now as the top babyface on Impact. I think he's got like we talked about earlier with Sami Callihan, he's got a marketable look to him. He has a great style of wrestling, and I just think now would be the best time to really do it when strike when the iron is hot, because if Brian Cage were to lose this one, it's like, where do you really go from there?
Yeah,
I mean,
you know
there's
what?
not really much else
And
for him to do.
I feel for Brian Cage. I feel like he never gets to win the big one.
Yeah.
So.
And that's really what the story has been about. He's been getting screwed all these times, and it's like, you have an impartial referee. I do think Lance Storm is going to be impartial in this one. We could see some interference from like Killer Cross, and I do expect like Lance Storm to give Killer Cross that super kick.
I'm about to say, Lance Storm super kicking somebody. I want my refund if he doesn't kick super kick somebody.
I do think that, so. I think that's really going to be the finish. I think it has to be Brian Cage winning, because it just makes him look bad if the story's been that he gets screwed all these months, and it's all built to him not getting screwed and actually losing for real this time.
All right. So, standard says Brian Cage.
And also, just coming off of our prior discussion, I do think it would also kind of give the X Division a bit of a needed spark by putting Johnny Impact in there, feuding against Rich Swann at the next pay-per-view too.
All right. So, Brian Cage. I'm going Brian Cage. Invasion.
I don't know.
Aww.
I like both of these guys.
He wants Lance Storm to win.
No, but like when you look at every wrestler right now, these two are I think are two of the better ones that not only Impact has, but like I think you put them in a match with a lot of people and you can expect a really good product. So I think having either as the face of the company, you can't go wrong. So again, I think this is another situation where Impact has done the right thing. I do have to say though that I think they took a good amount of time. They didn't just throw the belt right on Johnny, and I think I like
I think
that.
Johnny was there for about a year before they finally put the belt on him, and like I said, I appreciate that one, because I always hated when the former WWE person came in and they got handed a belt.
Yeah,
Austin Aries in 45 seconds against Eli.
Like that one.
And I just think it was nice that they kind of developed and they saw where his strong suit was, and they recently turned him heel, and the whole thing with Taya. So part of me really does want Johnny to win this, because I think they can go, in a strange way, I think this might be able to be a launching pad to further progress both Taya and Johnny as heels. But then there's that other part of me that's like, if Brian Cage wins this, it's been a long time coming. But part of me wants it to be at a bigger pay-per-view. Like, we've had such a long... I feel like Brian Cage has had such a long road in that sense, where he's been screwed continuously, whereas if it happened at, like, Slammiversary, I think it would be on that bigger stage, that more prominent pay-per-view stage.
But could you really put it off for 3 more months?
Yeah, I don't think they would have been able to do that. The good thing is, though, I do expect a good crowd for this pay-per-view. They're going back to the Rebel Entertainment Complex in Toronto, which the venue got some rave reviews. So I think they're gonna have a great crowd, and I think they're definitely gonna be firmly behind Brian Cage. So if Brian Cage were to win, I think you would get that special moment where the audience is taking towards the champion.
Yeah, but I just think, like, I get what you're saying with 3 months. That is a long time. I'm just saying, ideally, I wish it would happen at, like, a Slammiversary. But I also, like, there's part of me that's like, I do not see Lance Storm not doing shit this entire match, but be a good little referee and stick to the guidelines. So part of me is like, well, what does he get out of like helping Brian Cage? Does Brian Cage really need help? No, I don't think so. But I think Lance Storm siding in with Johnny because he trained Taya, I think that's like pulling in connections really nicely. Ooh. So that's part of the reason why I'm kind of like on the fence. Like I want Brian Cage to win at some point. I definitely want him to be champion. He's definitely able to. But I think putting Lance Storm in this and knowing they're not going to put a special referee in there and have him not do anything other than count to 3.
No, I think, like I said earlier, I mean, I expect like Killer Cross to get involved in this match, and Lance Storm like super kicking him, just to get his one spot in there as the referee, or trying to be the impartial referee that fending off the interference from an outside party for Johnny Impact. If they were to do that, it just makes Brian Cage look even bad. That again, he gets screwed, and it's like, do we have to? Like, how much longer do we really have to do this? How much longer do we have to wait for, a proper payoff? Right. Like this, it just becomes too much when, it's just the same thing over and over again. I just think we need to see, Brian Cage finally get the big one, and he becomes, the new top babyface in the company.
Yeah. No, I think I'm leaning more towards Brian Cage, but I do think tying in, that's one thing that Impact has always done extremely well, is paying attention to detail. That's something that I think everybody can give them credit for, and I think if they were to kind of use that Lance background with Taya as some sort of like further influence that they have in connection within the company, especially him becoming a producer, I think that could be really interesting, and you could go several ways with that story. But like, I do think that Brian Cage, like, he definitely does need the win soon, like relatively soon. I do agree with that.
I just want to cut in. This is probably a spoiler, but this week on Impact, Lance Storm is going to be involved in an in-ring segment, and I do believe that he does end up super kicking Johnny in the face.
Oh.
So.
All right. Yeah. Yep. He helping Johnny win. Anyway, so for the most part, we all think Brian Cage will win, but we feel like Johnny could end up stealing it.
Yeah.
So that covers the 5 announced matches. I'm sure they'll do something Rosemary and Su Yung, probably in the Undead Realm or something. We gotta get some payback for the bunny.
Yes. Why did they do this?
They killed the bunny. If y'all didn't see it, that's how they wrote her off. They killed the bunny.
Sorry, that's like a 2-hour segment for me, so I'll shut up.
We'll get on that next time. But so, thank you all for watching. That is our predictions heading into Impact's Rebellion pay-per-view event. And if you recall, after all this that's happened, as I mentioned, this was the final Rage. It's because as of, well, now, we're no longer Wrestling Road Rage. We are, can I get a little drum roll?
Iconic. Sorry.
Iconic. We are the Wrestling Reality Rundown. That's right, we're going back to the purity of what this channel was about and having discussions of all the different topics taking place in the professional wrestling / sports entertainment realm. And it's not just going to be this ugly mug. No, you got other ugly mugs to deal with. Coming up live on Twitch, May 2nd, it's going to be this ugly mug, along with Itsameinvasions and the Red Standard. And I'm not going to call Liv's an ugly mug. Actually, I'm not going to say anything else because that can get me in trouble either way. But we're going to have Liv, and we're going to have some other people probably helping in too. It's going to be some new faces. It's going to be some new discussions. It's going to be some new ways of thinking about how things are done and what's taking place. So please join us.
And I can have my 2-hour rant about Ali. Sorry.
That's his own episode. So we're going to get a Twitch channel set up for the Wrestling Reality Rundown. All of our social medias, it is a network. All of our social medias you'll see start taking change. and we're going to get back to having some fun with things. So, until next time, I am the SKFeffect. My guest...
I am the Red Standard.
I am Itsameinvasion. Ow, ow!
And please also like his Twitch channel and keep giving him more followers, and you'll get other updates too. It's twitch.com/Itsameinvasion. See, it's right there.
TV.
It's right there.
.tv.
I said it's a me.
No. .tv.
Oh, .tv. My bad.
Yes.
Ooh,
You're good. You're good. It happens.
he's being technical. Ugh, this is a good start. So, we'll see you next time, folks. But until then...
You should have gone for the head.
Let us summon the others to take part in this. Doo-doo. Doo-doo.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic
And
voice
Brett
message system.
fails.
401.
Let's try Caesar.
Hello.
All right, we have a Caesar on the line. So, let's see if we can get an evasion on the line this time.
God, as long as it's not laughing.
Doo-doo. Add call. Recents. BT.
Hello.
Hey, there he is. It didn't even need a ring this time. And merging. And do we have a red standard?
Yes.
I think I heard a yes. Do we have an invasion? Yes, we have an
Hello?
invasion.
Hello, Invasion.
Hello.
All right.
Salad.
Who's ready to
Hey,
go?
is the noise coming through? Like, is it like annoying much or fine?
I mean, I think I can hear you just fine.
Good then. All right. Yeah, because I'm outside. I have to do this on outside today, so. Oh my.
Except for that, that didn't sound good. And, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call bloopers.
Oh man.
Caesar, are you still there?
Some guy on his motorcycle. Oh my god.
Someone
almost-
ate Caesar. No.
We almost had a hit and run just filmed on the audio. Y'all almost heard that. It's like Brett playing Friday the 13th and all of us trying to survive. Oops. All right. So,
Alright, so we have 5 matches to discuss here, I'm guessing?
we have 5 matches. I have them all printed and listed because I thought ahead this time.
Alright, so I think, so the way I'm kind of thinking we do this one is like, since I'm the one that's pretty much, I think, the most up to speed, I'll probably just start off with like a quick recap, just a brief recap of the stories going on, and then I think Brad goes second, maybe.
Well,
Sure.
I would say,
So look at this match. You see it on paper. It's very exciting. And if it was for an episode of Impact, it's very exciting. But then when you go and you put out a paper about a film,
you're fading out, BT.
it feels very thrown out there. And I think for Jordan, when she becomes Nacho champion, because they got this deal,
BT, you're getting really quiet. We're losing you.
she deserves a match with proper film. I don't think this has that right now. I think
BT, we're losing you. We're barely getting anything you're saying.
Brad, Brett.
But in addition
Oh
to
my
that,
God.
Kaya has
Does he have us muted?
We can't hear you.
BT, no one can hear you. Please repeat everything you've been saying up to your phone. Like, he has us muted while he's talking.
Brett, God damn it, listen
I'm
to us.
sure he's making a really good point if only everyone could hear him.
Oh my God, I hope you add this in the end as a blooper.
Oh, this is totally all bloopers. He's still going. He hasn't stopped talking.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, she's getting time, but it's like.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. Brett.
Kind of unfair.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Here is years of future.
Itsameinvasion, folks. He's special.
I'm going.
I kind of feel bad about this match.
Brett.
Be excited for it. If this
Brett.
He feels bad about the match, but he's excited for it.
Kind of like Jordan wants the title, I as the champion, boo-boo. It's kind of like, you have 4 people of the year, let's step it up.
He's still not really paying attention. Bloopers, folks. Bloopers.
Brett, can you hear us?
Hello?
There he is.
We couldn't hear you, dude. You're fading on us.
Now, Invasion, do you want to summarize everything you've just said for like the last 5 minutes? Because we couldn't hear a word of it.
Oh no! What happened?
We don't know, but we couldn't hear you and you weren't listening to us.
Oh, I couldn't hear you guys until I was done, which is weird, because I'm not live.
So,
I basically said that